The Hamilton Police Service Department cleared Heartless of any wrongdoing, which I guess should raise some questions about Fantino's statement. If this isn't conduct unbecoming, then I don't know what is. What is incredible about this situation is that this complaint all started when McGuinty's senior negotiator in Caledonia started sending information about Heartless to the OPP. The political arm of the McGuinty government was using the OPP to target individuals to be silenced. Furthermore, Inspector McHale revealed that what was happening behind the scenes in one of his emails, he states that he wanted Chief Mullen, the Hamilton Chief of Police, to have the heads up in case the Minister of the Community Safety or Premier's office itself may want to phone him and talk to him about Dave Heartless. I thought that wasn't happening. The public has been told by the McGuinty government that it doesn't get involved in individual policing issues. And here we have the OPP inspector believing that McGuinty's office, or at least the minister, will actually be contacting the Hamilton Police Department. Isn't this exactly why McGuinty claimed we needed an inquiry into Ippawash? Because Mike Harris was given instructions to the OPP? But Fantino went further. Not only was he threatening or trying to silence a police officer, but he soon turned his attention to the Haldimand elected council. In an email to Mayor Traynor, who is the mayor of Haldimand County, who is with us today and will be speaking shortly, he threatened her and council and stated that they would be punished if they publicly said anything positive about me. In Fantino's email, he mentions my name 13 times, and he's outraged that Craig Grice, councillor for Caledonia, would say something positive about me. On December the 31st, 2009, Superior Court Judge Crane ordered Fantino to face a criminal charge of attempting to influence municipal officials. As he stated, this email constituted a threat under the criminal code. Not surprisingly, the Crown immediately dropped the charge. Several people filed police service complaints against Fantino because of the email. In the summer of 2007, Monty Quinter hired Rod McLeod, an outside lawyer who was only to be reported to Monty Quinter about the complaint. The Ontario Ombudsman publicly denounced this move, saying that the government was merely trying to control the investigation. Mayor Traynor testified in court the following. It was June 28th. McLeod called me in the morning. He was finalizing his report, and he wanted to go over some of the things that I had said. He said he wanted to soften the report a little bit so that Commissioner Fantino wouldn't look so bad, and that he would call me later in the day to go over what he was quoting me to verify that it was okay with me. Meanwhile, Canadian press called me and wanted to know what my thoughts was on the fact that Minister Quinter had announced that Commissioner Fantino had been exonerated. I said, "Pardon me?" And the statement was repeated to her. I said, "But the report has not been issued yet." I then phoned Rod McLeod back and asked him, "What's going on?" I didn't think the report had been finished yet. Rod McLeod, his whole tone had changed. He actually seemed quite upset and said, "I have to write the report the way I'm instructed." This is solid proof that how the McGuinty government is covering for the illegal activities of Fantino and the OPP. And this slide is an interesting final point about the email story. As Fantino found it compelling that when he sent this threatening email to Haldimand Council, he included or copied the email to these three people. Remember, there's supposed to be this arm's length between the Ontario government and Fantino. And yet he sent this threatening email to Chris Morley, who was the press secretary for Dalton McGuinty, Peter Wilkinson, McGuinty's chief of staff, and Tony Dean, at the time was the deputy premier. But worse than all this is actually the details of how Mr. Fantino targeted me to be silenced and controlled. Within a few days of him becoming the commissioner in 2006, Fantino sent an email to the Ontario Director of Legal Services to ask them to find a way to deal with Gary McHale. For the next 2 weeks, government lawyers met with OPP and with Cayuga Crown lawyers to plan out a scheme to arrest me with the full knowledge I had committed no crime. So on December the 16th, 2006, as I drove to Caledonia, I was stopped on the highway by the OPP and was told that they had been waiting for me for hours along the side of the road. They informed me that if I or anyone else attempted to raise a Canadian flag, I would be arrested, and that the OPP had created a restricted area. I immediately asked the officer whether Native protesters would be arrested if they tried to put up a flag, or whether they would be arrested in this restricted area. He told me that he wasn't going to comment on that. Of course, that day, Native people did put up flags and did come and go through the restricted area. Imagine if the OPP had created areas along the highway where black people or Jewish people were arrested if they entered that area. In effect, that's what the OPP did. So as I walked down the road in Caledonia with a Canadian flag, I walked into this no white allowed zone and was immediately arrested and placed in jail overnight. Mark Vandermoss was arrested but was released a few hours later. So extraordinary was this that several OPP officers make notes and they report their concern and question their superiors about their authority to hold me in jail. But they were told that, that this had been cleared with government lawyers and with the Crown in Cayuga. Their master plan was to force the court, or get the court to force travel restrictions on me in order to stop me from having any further events in Caledonia which exposed the OPP. The OPP had the support of the Crown in Cayuga, but I was arrested on a Saturday, and there is no court in Cayuga on Sunday. So the case got transferred to Hamilton. Hamilton Crown lawyer Andrew Goodman refused to follow their scheme. Once Goodman stated that the scheme was illegal, the remaining government lawyers and the Cayuga Crown suddenly changed their tune, and the OPP were left holding the bag. In the end, the court ordered my release. This didn't stop Fantino. He was angry that the Crown didn't go along with the OPP's illegal scheme. A year later, he ordered his officers to disregard the views of the Crown, as he called them timid and feeble. On December the 7th, 2007, almost a year later, I was arrested again, and this time on a bogus criminal charge that the OPP, the Crown, and the judge at my pretrial all stated they had never heard of before. The Cayuga Crown prosecuted me for 30 months at hundreds of thousands of your taxpayers' dollars, only to stay the charge before it went to trial. The case provided a mountain of evidence that demonstrates just how corrupt the OPP has become. While the Crown tried to report to the court that they had given me full disclosure when I had 4 volumes, over the 30 months I forced them to produce an additional 18 volumes. This disclosure includes all emails to and from Commissioner Fantino, all emails from Deputy Commissioner Chris Lewis, a few superintendents, some inspectors, notebooks and video statements from 70 different officers.